A father sacrifices himself to save his children, but the nightmare is far from over. Now 2 kids are stranded in the middle of the ocean, surrounded by monsters hiding beneath the water. And what Bota discovers under the ruins might be even worse than the Leviathan itself. Bota wakes up crying, desperately calling for his father. Suddenly, he's back on the ship. He sees Lita sitting quietly nearby, but then she points toward the ocean. Floating in the water is Taeon Ma's body. Bota immediately tries to jump into the sea, but Lita suddenly stops him, and that's when he realizes something horrifying. That isn't his sister. The monster is pretending to be Lita. Bota suddenly wakes up. It was just a nightmare. The real Lita is asleep in his arms, while Bota quietly cries beside her. When she wakes, she asks the question Bota feared the most. "Where's Dad? Did he die like Mom?" Bota can't answer. He can only hug her tighter. Later, Bota finds a clock from their destroyed ship, but then he remembers something terrifying. The monster attacked during daytime. We can't even trust the clock anymore. That line changes everything, because now they don't even know when they're safe anymore. Lita tries to hide her hunger, but Bota notices immediately, so he creates a spear using a fork and a metal rod. But when he approaches the ocean, he freezes. The trauma is still there. He can't stop imagining monsters beneath the water. Luckily, they find a crab nearby and manage to survive another night. Still, food and water are running out fast. Then, Bota suddenly remembers something his father taught him, how to turn seawater into drinking water. And somehow, it works. For the first time since Taeon Ma died, Bota and Lita actually smile again. But that tiny moment of hope doesn't last long. The siblings decide to explore the ruined building nearby. Inside, they find human skeletons scattered everywhere. Bota quickly searches for anything useful: fuel, supplies, and one remaining rocket shell. But while staring at it, Bota starts wondering something terrifying. Can the 2 of them really survive alone? Then Lita discovers a hidden door leading downstairs. Below it, there's direct access to the ocean, and surprisingly, the water is filled with fish. Bota gets excited. Food, finally. He dives underwater and catches a huge fish. But then he accidentally touches something massive. Transparent eggs, hundreds of them. And inside those eggs, baby sea monsters are moving, alive. And then, suddenly, a hand appears inside one of the eggs. Bota panics and swims back to the surface immediately. This place is a nest. But before he can escape, something grabs his leg. A monster. Without thinking, Bota stabs its eye and barely escapes. But the nightmare isn't over. The creature keeps chasing him all the way back upstairs. Bota tries using his father's weapon, but the monster doesn't back down. Its teeth smash through the door behind him. And then Bota realizes something even worse. Lita is gone. Outside the building, Bota sees Lita standing near the edge of the ruins. She's staring into the ocean. There's a human silhouette floating in the distance, and instantly, Bota remembers the monster that could imitate people. But before he can stop her, Lita climbs onto a small boat. "Dad came back!" she screams happily. Bota immediately panics. "That's not Dad! Come back!" At that exact moment, the warning alarm starts ringing. Sunset is coming. Bota jumps into the water and desperately chases after Lita, and beneath the building, hundreds of baby sea monsters begin swimming out into the ocean, and suddenly the entire sea starts moving. Bota manages to pull Lita's boat toward the ruins, but then a monster suddenly leaps out of the water to attack them. Bota barely dodges in time. Now the siblings are trapped on top of a broken wall, surrounded by dozens of sea monsters below. The building is too far away. There's nowhere to run. Then the monsters begin smashing into the wall itself. Bota starts losing hope. But then he remembers his father's final words, "Take care of Lita for me." And at that moment, something changes inside him. Bota stops running. He grabs his father's weapon and prepares to fight. The first monster jumps out. Slash! Bota cuts its head clean in half, but more monsters immediately rush toward them from every direction. Bota keeps swinging desperately, trying to protect Lita, but then he slips. Both of them almost fall into the ocean. At the last second, Bota jumps onto a nearby boat carrying Lita, and somehow they survive, only because the monsters start eating each other instead. The siblings rush back toward the building, but the monsters keep chasing them. Bota tells Lita to run upstairs immediately, and seconds later, the creatures begin climbing into the building after them. One monster falls after the stairs collapse, but Bota's back gets slashed badly in the process. They finally reach the upper floor. Safe, so they think, because waiting behind the door is the monster Bota stabbed earlier, now completely enraged. The creature attacks instantly, and just before it kills Bota, Lita stabs the monster's remaining eye with a metal spike. Now fully blind, the monster goes completely berserk. It wildly attacks everything around it, and suddenly it locks on to Lita. The monster is seconds from devouring her alive. Bota quickly grabs the fuel container and throws it directly into the monster's mouth. Then he strikes his weapon against the floor. Spark! The monster bursts into flames instantly. But even while burning, it keeps attacking wildly. The fire spreads everywhere. As Bota and Lita run at scares, Bota suddenly realizes something terrifying. The rocket shell fell into the flames. And then, boom! A massive explosion destroys the monster, and the entire building collapses with it. Bota and Lita are thrown straight into the ocean. They barely survive by holding on to the remains of their old ship. But even then, the monsters still keep coming. One of them bites on to Bota's weapon, stopping him from attacking. And for the first time, Bota completely breaks down. "Help me! I don't want to die!" Then suddenly, a harpoon pierces the monster from afar. Someone saved them, a girl, and this encounter changes everything. The sea monsters immediately turn toward the attacker. The girl calmly reloads her harpoon gun. Bota immediately realizes something shocking. She's a harpoonist, just like his father. But before Bota can react, another monster attacks from behind. The girl switches weapons, pulling out 2 blades and speeding across the ocean. And what happens next is insane. She cuts through the monsters effortlessly. One slash, one kill. Again, again, again. Blood floods the ocean as monster bodies fall apart around her. Bota watches in complete disbelief. For the first time in his life, he's seeing someone dominate the sea monsters instead of fearing them. Her final attack saves Bota and Lita completely. Then the girl finally speaks. "You two are extremely lucky to meet a harpoonist out here." The girl introduces herself. Her name is Kana, and she comes from Union, Busan. Then suddenly, A massive rumbling echoes across the ocean. At first, it looks like an island, but no, it's a gigantic ship, far bigger than anything Bota has ever seen before. Union Busan. For the first time in their lives, Bota and Lita are surrounded by real people. Submarines emerge from beneath the ocean. Harpoonist soldiers appear everywhere. Bota hugs Lita tightly while crying. "Dad, we finally found people. We survived." But then, something strange happens. Kana orders everyone to search the area immediately, not for survivors, for something else. Then, over the intercom, Dr. Foyd discovers the corpse of the giant monster, Kentrasi, one of the 7 devils of the sea. And according to him, the creature is far larger than the rumors ever said. Then he asks Kana a question. "Did you kill this thing alone?" Kana quietly answers, "No." Then she notices something. Taeon Ma's weapon still stuck inside the monster's corpse. Kana's expression suddenly changes, as if she recognizes it, as if she knows exactly who Taeon Ma really was. Meanwhile, aboard the ship, someone asks Bota how long they survived alone at sea. Bota quietly answers, "About 10 years." Everyone is shocked. No one can believe children survived that long in the open ocean. Then Bota starts crying again. "Our dad was with us, but the sea monsters took him."